Don't let the dread of the tedious job of gathering keep you from making something super cute for you or for a little person in your life. Hi, I'm Christine, and today I'm going to show you how to gather a skirt using your serger. It's very easy and it's very quick. I'm going to be demonstrating it on this project. This is the Oakland dress by Violet Field Threads. This is in a size 2. And I'm going to be gathering about 65 inches of skirt into that little top. It's easy, it's quick, and you're going to want to try it too. So let's head up to the sewing room and I'm going to show you how to do this. Before we go over to the serger, I'm going to show you some things that I've done to prep for the project. So I have the bodice. In this particular dress, the buttons go on the back of the bodice, so it's all open here, and also on the skirt. So I'm going to be attaching the skirt from one end of the bodice to the other, which makes it rather easy. Now for my skirt piece, this is really large. Let me get it to where you can see it. I have already hemmed the bottom of the skirt. So much easier to hem it before you put in the gathering. And then I've formed the plackets on each side of the skirt. And to make it really obvious for me, I have made a mark using an erasable pen right here. That's at the start of the placket. And I've made another one at the other end. So when I put my gathering stitches, I'm going to start from the blue mark and go to the blue mark. I am not going to be gathering my placket. Let's head over to the serger and I'm going to show you the settings on my serger for gathering. For your serger or overlocker, you are going to want to set it up for overlocking, and then you're going to change a couple of your settings. I'm using my Baby Lock Triumph. Normally when I'm using my serger, I serge in N for neutral, but I've moved my differential feed up to 2. This will pull the fabric through twice as fast, and that is what's going to gather my stitches. The other thing I have changed is I have lengthened my stitch. I went with the longest stitch on my serger, which is 4. That's this knob here. It may be in a different place on your machine. I disengaged the blade, so that is locked in the down position. I don't want to be trimming at this time. I am going to use the edge of my presser foot as a guide, but I don't want to accidentally trim at this point. And then I've changed my width to 5.5. Usually it's on the M position. The other thing that I have done, and this is just an aid for myself, it's not necessary, is I have changed the threads in my serger that go to the needles, and I've changed them to pink and yellow, which works with the cotton lawn that I'm sewing with, but it lets me very easily see my needle threads. So it's kind of a little bit of a cheat. This machine is so quick and easy to thread that it's no trouble at all to change my threads back and forth, and I find this makes it easier for me. So it's all set up. I'm going to start off with the chain. You see I have it here, and I've done a practice gather, and that's on this little piece of fabric. So I wanted to see how it was behaving. I liked what I saw, and now I'm ready to go in with my skirt. I'm probably going to change your angle a little bit because this is something that I'm wanting to do for real, and I don't want to mess it up, and the tripod is in the way as it is now. So I'm going to try to set you up so that I don't block your view, but want to talk through a couple of things while you're up close. So I'm going to raise my needles up to the highest position, and I can just do this manually. And I'm going to lift my presser foot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my fabric under the presser foot to where the needles will bite into the fabric at that blue line that I made. Let me show you. Might have to reposition a little bit later, but here is my fabric, my skirt piece. Now I don't want to gather this bit, so I'm going to start where I have this blue line. So I'm going to slide it under here and position it so that the needles will be coming down right where that blue line is. And let me bring you in close, make sure you can see this. I'm going to turn the hand wheel to lower the needles, and I'm going to reset the camera so that you can see and talk you through the rest. All right, I'm going to do my best to stay out of the camera frame and not block your view. So I'm going to line the edge up with the edge of the presser foot. I have my needle sunk in, so that's anchoring it. The knife blade is down, so I'm not going to be cutting anything. My stitch is long, my differential feed is on 2, and I'm going to take it away. Now, a tip that I have seen, I don't know if it really makes a difference, is that as you are serging or overlocking, to kind of catch with your finger behind the fabric, and it supposedly helps it to gather more, but it's so easy to gather it more, and I'm definitely going to need to, with as much fabric as I'm gathering, to just pull on the threads. What we're going to do after we do the gathering on the serger, we've got a tail here. I'm going to leave a tail when I serge off. We're going to pull the needle threads, and that will allow us to either tighten the gathers and make it a tighter gather, or you can loosen it. So let's get going. I'm coming to the end, and right here is my blue mark. I can see my stitching line. When I get to this point, I'm just gonna pull it this way and serge off. Creating a chain. See those nice gathers? It's really lovely. Now this is a very gathered dress, the skirt on this, so I know I'm going to need to gather it more. I have already found the center of the skirt and made a mark here. I'm going to make a center mark on the bodice front so that I know how much more I need to gather this. So let's head over to the table so we can see how much I'm going to need to pull this in, tighten up the gathers in order for it to fit the bodice. I wanted you to see how much gathering we need to do. Here's my bodice, and look at this skirt. It needs to come down to 20 inches in circumference. I started off with over 70 inches. I even double checked the pattern to make sure I cut out the right size skirt, and I did. It's just a lot of gathering. So I'm going to give you a close-up of what I'm going to do. I'm basically going to find my needle threads and kind of pull them out. It's really easy to do. Then I'm going to start pulling them to gather this in. So much faster than if I were to do the traditional couple of rows of stitching at a gathering length. I think you're going to like this method. Here I am pulling up my needle threads. I'm trying to get this in the frame and also have the camera focus so you can see the threads. I'm using my stiletto, and trust me, this goes so much more smoothly and easily when you have your work in front of you. I'm standing at an arm's length, trying not to get my hands or my head from blocking the shot. And I'm pulling on the threads, putting that stiletto down, pulling and gathering, pulling and gathering. Yes, now I'm remembering to put this in the camera frame, and it's coming together much more quickly now. I am pulling my pink and yellow needle threads, and smoothly it is gathering very nicely. I'm going to go halfway, then I'm going to pull at the other end. This is much easier for me in real life to see this than to show on the camera because this pink thread is rather light. But I'm pulling up my needle threads, which in my case I used pink and yellow. I'm just going to pull them up a little bit, and I'm going to get a good hold of them. Trying to make sure I keep this in the camera frame. All right, I think you can see this pink one. So I'm going to grab a hold of this pink thread. This is one of my needle threads. And I'm going to pull on it gently and see how easily and evenly it makes gathers. This is so much faster than putting in a long stitch and stitching out the couple of rows on your sewing machine. Make sure that I'm getting it in the view. Can you see how quickly that is coming together? And that's with kind of watching the camera and not so much my work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the camera shot and just continue to pull on this until it gathers enough that I can match it with my bodice. I kid you not, less than 5 minutes from the time that I dropped the camera so that I could get a close look at what I was doing, I have gathered my skirt. Now I do need to zhuzh it a little bit. It's a little bit over gathered by just a tad. So I'm gonna do that off camera, and I will sew this onto my dress. Since this tutorial is more about how to make the gathers, let me see if I can give you a close-up view of the threads that I pulled. So these are the threads that I pulled. I'll put in a close-up photo because it's not really coming up on the video setting, but so easy to just pull these threads and gather it along. Only have a little bit to zhuzh, and this dress will be finished tonight. If you're interested, I'll insert a photo here of the dress pattern. This is the Oakland dress by Violet Field Threads. So I'm going to attach my skirt. I'm going to put on my buttonholes and buttons, and I'm going to have a new dress just in time to gift at a baby sprinkle. I did mark the lining since I used the same fabric for the front, the main fabric in the lining. And what I intend to do, this is a little deviation from the pattern, is I'm going to attach the skirt to the main layer, trim it a little bit, and then I'm going to hand stitch down the lining so that I can cover where I have gathered and attached the skirt. The instructions have you just press it up and sew it, but that leaves the inside a little bit messy. Sometimes I'll bind the seam, or I'll sew a piece of ribbon, or I'll make a strip of fabric that's all finished and sew that over the messy bits just to make the inside nice. And it also makes it longer wearing. So these clothes can be handed down to child to child to child. This is a size 2, so she's not going to be wearing it forever. Certainly not long enough to wear it out. For more tips and tutorials, check my playlist over here.